Anjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Hey Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtotara Sudashri Srimad Divine Grace Abhay Chanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Granthra Srimad Bhagavat Puran Ki Jai Gaura Premanandi all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vas.
Hare Krishna. We are extremely honored and fortunate to have association of His Grace Dwarkadhish Prabhu and Vishaka Priya Mataji. Haribo. So Dwarkadhish Prabhu is a doctor by profession. He is MD in medicine from Mumbai University. He is also the head of department and one of the founding members and trustees of Bhaktivedanta Hospital and Research Center, which is located in Mumbai, Mira Road, Mumbai. This is one of the ISKCON's first hospitals. He began his Krishna conscious journey way back when he was studying in college in 1982. Later on, he received initiation in 1986, and then later on he entered Grihastha Ashram in 1990. Prabhuji and Mataji, they were the first couple to get married in ISKCON Chowpatty in the temple. And since 1992, they have been helping devotees, sharing Krishna consciousness, training Grihasthas, and also Grihastha leaders. They are the part of Grihastha vision team of ISKCON Chowpatty. They have been also very instrumental in training young youths and also training in premarital counseling program. Beside his hectic schedules and travels, he makes sure that every week he goes to Radha Gopinath temple to do deity worship. And Prabhu is very famous for organizing or directing and acting in dramas, Krishna conscious dramas. Every year they have a Chowpatty organizes a drama festival, and I see Prabhuji with team of devotees every year performs very memorable and heart-touching, inspiring dramas. He travels to different places in India and abroad, guiding Grihasthas and Grihastha leaders. He travels to Pune, Nasik, Kolhapur, and we are very blessed that he makes priority to come here and bless us in Calcutta also. He also travels to America, Malaysia, Mauritius, Bahrain, other places. sharing his wisdom, which can help people to be happy devotees and happy grastas in Krishna consciousness. So let us welcome His Grace Dwarkadhish Prabhu and Mataji by loudly chanting 3 times. Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. लेकिन मैं अभी सोच रहा हूँ सबसे एक महत्वपूर्ण सवाल है, लैंग्वेज, ये क्लास कौन से भाषा में होना चाहिए, अंग्रेजी और हिंदी? हाँ, हिंदी में होना चाहिए. ओके,
लास्ट टाइम इंग्लिश में हुआ था ना.
हाँ, लास्ट टाइम इंग्लिश में हुआ था. हाँ, सो हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू वांट हिंदी? हाथ ऊपर कीजिए. ओके, हाउ मेनी ऑफ वांट इंग्लिश? What on Hindi? Maybe Hindi. We can Hindi. We can speak with us.
हिंदी इंग्लिश.
हिंदी सबको समझ.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Usually your Bhagavatam is in English or Hindi? Usually? English? Okay. A little more comfortable. so, so with your permission, I can speak English. So can we have a translation? If there is a facility for translation for our Vaishnavas who are Hindi speaking. एट 80% होगा तो भी चलेगा. भूरिनी भूरिनी कर्माणि श्रोतव्यानि विभागशः. अतः साध्योऽत्र यत्सारम् समुद्धृत्य मनीषया. भूरिनी भूरिनी कर्माणि श्रोतव्यानि विभागशः. अतः साध्योऽत्र यत्सारम् समुद्धृत्य मनीषया. भूरिनी भूरिनी कर्माणि श्रोतव्यानि विभागशः. अतः साध्योऽत्र यत्सारम् समुद्धृत्य मनीषया. भूरिनी कर्माणि श्रुतव्यादिनी विभागशः. अतः साधो अत्र सारम् समुद्धृत्य मनीषया. भूरिनी भूरिनी कर्माणि श्रुतव्यानि विभागशः. भूरिनी भूरिनी कर्माणि श्रोतव्यानि विभाषः तसाधोत्र सारम समुद्रत्या. Ladies, burini burini karmani श्रोतव्यानि विभागशः अथ साधो यत्र सारम मनीषया. Burini, multifarious. Buri, many. Karmani, duties. Shrotavyani, to be learned. Vibhagashaha, by divisions of subject matter. Ataha, therefore, sadho, O sage, atra, herein, yat, whatever, saram, essence, samudritya, by selection, manishaya, best to your knowledge, bruhi, please tell us, bhadraya, for the good of bhutanam. Oh, last, there is another line there next also. Sorry. Bruhi Bhadraya Bhutanam Yena Atma Suprisidati. I didn't follow that. Okay. The long verse. So, Bhadraya, for the good of Bhutanam, the living beings, Yena, by which Atma, the self, Suprisidati, becomes fully satisfied. Translation prepared by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. There are many varieties of scriptures, and in all of them there are many prescribed duties, which can be learned only after many years of study in the various divisions. Therefore, our sage, please select the essence of all these scriptures and explain it for the good of all living beings, that by such instruction their hearts may be fully satisfied. Purport. Atma, or self, is distinguished from matter and material elements. It is spiritual in constitution, and thus it is never satisfied by any amount of material planning. All scriptures and spiritual instructions are meant for satisfaction of this self or Atma. There are many varieties of approaches which are recommended for different types of living beings in different times and at different places. Consequently, the numbers of revealed scriptures are innumerable. There are different methods and prescribed duties recommended in these various scriptures. Taking into consideration the fallen condition of the people in general in this age of Kali, the sages of Naimisharanya suggested that Sri Shuddha Goswami relate the essence of all sub-scriptures, because in this age it is not possible for the fallen souls to understand and undergo all the lessons of all these various scriptures in a Varna and Ashram system. The Varna and Ashram society was considered to be the best institution for the lifting of the human being to the spiritual platform. But due to Kali Yuga, it is not possible to execute the rules and regulations of these institutions. Nor is it possible for the people in general to completely sever relationship with their families as the Varnashram institution prescribes. The whole atmosphere is surcharged with opposition. And considering this, one can see that spiritual emancipation for the common man in this age is very difficult. The reason the sages presented this matter to Sri Goswami is explained in the following verses. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं सहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणी हरे कृष्णा The Srimad Bhagavatam is a person. It is not just a printed book. It is a personified form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore it is as worshipable as Sri Krishna himself. The first two cantos, Canto 1 and Canto 2, is like we stand on our feet for balancing our body. So Canto 1 and Canto 2 are considered as the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. 3 and 4 are his thighs, 5th canto is his navel, 6th is his chest, 7th and 8th is his arms, 9th is his neck, 10th is his lotus-like face, 11th is his forehead, and the 12th is his upper scalp or head. So this is the form as per the Padma Purana. Krishna Bhagavatam is a person. However, the entire body does not rest on the head; it rests on the feet. And therefore, Canto 1 and Canto 2 are foundational parts of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That means it really sets the mood um, of what is going to come ahead. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada, our beloved founder Acharya, he paid maximum attention to these two cantos. Knowing that his health was not very good, when he was writing the scripture, he was in his late 60s, early 70s, and therefore, with the type of physical body which he had, which was having so many uncertain medical conditions, he thought he may not live too long to give the whole world the entire spectrum of the 12 cantos. And therefore, Prabhupada has stressed and given and poured the maximum part of his deepest realizations in Krishna Bhakti in the first two cantos. And therefore, for all of us as students of Srimad Bhagavatam, to again and again revise and revitalize our understanding of Bhagavatam, we need to keep going back to Canto 1 and Canto 2. We can never feel too qualified to think that we can now go into the deep aspects of the 10th canto and like that. But if you go into the 10th canto, we cannot lose sight of the. Therefore, the word used there is saram. The word saram in this verse is probably the most significant. Saram means the essence, the spiritual essence. So, we shall discuss today in the next 1 hour or so that we have together, how do we keep ourselves focused on the essence of spiritual life. Because as it is said here, even at the time before, this is 5,000 years ago, even at that time there were so many scriptures. It's the time when there was no foreign invasion or colonial expansion. So Sanatana Dharma was flourishing in this world, right? With Maharaj Parikshit being helm of affairs, people like Yudhishthira Maharaj being the crowned king and emperor of the world, right? Therefore, there is so much patronage for flourishing of spirituality, and therefore, so many scriptures were generated at that time. And therefore, the sages of Naimisharanya being truly aware of the wide spectrum of so many scriptures, right? All talking about Atma Kalyan, of course. They are not talking about material subjects, they're talking about Atma Kalyan, right? And therefore, with so many scriptures, you're likely to get what? Confused. Confused, right? And when you know so much, or you read so much, or you try to understand so much, you can lose sight definitely of what is the actual focus and the central point of all this, right? In fact, most of the time it will be impossible to get the essence because everyone is stressing different things. And therefore, even when you have a scholar like Keshav Kashmiri, who is supposed to be the direct son and disciple of Mother Saraswati, right? And whenever he moved his tongue, he would be speaking only those things which Mother Saraswati would inspire him. So what a amazingly, powerful person we had in this world just 500 years ago, who memorized and practically was aware about all the scriptures that were present at that time. And therefore he was the greatest scholar, uncrowned king, the king of the world when it comes to knowledge, spiritual knowledge and debate. And yet, the more important conclusion from his story and pastime is that after having known so much, he missed the essence. He missed the essence. And that's very important for us to understand that knowledge alone is insufficient to really actually reach the essence of spiritual life and to grasp the central point. And therefore, even the Srila Goswami Astakam it is written, Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipunau, then Shad Dharma Sansthapakai. Even later on, 4,500 years later, when the Goswamis were in this world, direct disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they also had access to so many scriptures, but they also consolidated all that knowledge, right, and put it into just a few essential scriptures, right? Why? Because in Kali Yuga, we are already confused. Our life is already in a confused state, right? By so many, so much of propaganda, so many things. We don't know what is good, what is not good, what is right, what is not right. Most of the people are in a confused state as to how should they conduct their lives. And if they come to spiritual life and they find there is so much there, said, this is not for me, then they will probably go away. Right? And therefore, Srila Prabhupada, Acharyas like Prabhupada, their role in this world is so very crucial that they embody the essence, and therefore they are called as Paramhamsas. They are called as Paramhamsas. As we know, Paramhamsa is a person who can separate out milk from water in a jar of, where there is milk and water together, right? So they can separate out these two things. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada's books and his teachings and his instructions and his example are for all times to come, for ISKCON and the entire world, will ever remain the beacon light and the guiding principle of what is actually bhakti or pure devotional service to Krishna. Right? So there is no confusion in our minds that we have a person who was deputed by Krishna from the spiritual world, hmm, to live and teach the highest principles in essential form, and therefore we don't have to really get worried about any confusion. Therefore, you find most of the ISKCON devotees are quite focused. They know what is to be done and not to be done. So, what is the essence? So, we are the practitioners and we're trying to please Krishna. So, there are three principles: Bhakta, Bhagavan, and Bhakti. These are the absolute principles of devotional service. Bhakta, that means ourselves, we're trying to be devotees. Then you have Bhagavan, who's the Lord, whom we are trying to please. uh, And the third, of course, is the process which we use, which we execute to please Him, and that is called as bhakti. Hmm? So for us, this is the triangle: Bhagavan, Bhakti, and Bhakta. This is the triangle, and there is no truth beyond this triangle. All knowledge which enhances our appreciation of Bhagavan is essential, very, very essential. All knowledge which tells us about the importance of being bhakta is extremely important. And all knowledge which enhance our deepening of our faith and conviction in the process of bhakti is important. Anything beyond that actually could be called safely as the realm of Maya, because it does not promote our understanding of Bhakta, Bhagwan, or Bhakti. Then that is called as avidya by the Sri Ishopanishad, or knowledge in the realm of ignorance. Knowledge in the realm of ignorance. So, in executing this form of bhakti, using the formula of Mother Yashoda is very important. Mother Yashoda, when she was trying to bind Krishna, the famous lila which we always remember, the Damodar lila, right? Where Mother Yashoda is trying to tie naughty Krishna with a knot. She is trying to knot. Krishna is very naughty, therefore he has to be put under a knot. And the knot is to be tied around his beautiful, thin, small little waist. And he is to be tied with the ukhal, the wooden grinding mortar, which Krishna had just climbed upon and broken a lot of destructive activity in the house of the gopis and in his own house. But when Mother Yashoda is trying to tie this rope around, she finds that it is always 2 fingers short. And how powerful is this Leela? Even though it is so sweet, and Damodar Ashtakam is such a sweet pastime, which we always sing during the Damodar Mass, and we meditate on this Leela and this song. And yet, for us, the essence is to understand this 2-finger formula, right? And she, of course, keeps on tying a lot of rope, right? And that means the endeavor is very large, and yet she cannot overcome the 2 fingers. So no matter what you do, that first finger represents the endeavor, as you know. Second finger represents the factor of mercy. So no matter what, the first finger, so the Yastamaya is using the first finger. More rope, more rope. 10 gopis, get more rope. 900,000 cows in the house, in Goshala. So much rope required, because when you milk a cow, you have to tie their back feet. Others they will They'll kick you on the face, right? So then so much of rope is required for tying 900,000 cows. So there is no dearth of ropes in the house of the gopis. They have kilometers of ropes, not meters, kilometers of ropes. So all the ropes, so many ropes were brought, and different colored ropes were brought. And it is such an amazing mystical pastime. What is the size of Krishna's waist? Of course, all of us, do our weight conscious, keep on saying, what is our waist? It is not for brahmacharis. People have a very controlled lifestyle. Srinithai Prabhu like brahmacharis, austere. His waist can hardly be seen, But those who are leading wasteful lives, they are very waste conscious. 34, 36, 40. We as doctors sometimes have to measure when we have to do, we have to calculate BMI, and we are giving a weight reduction program to our patients. We have to measure their waist and measure their hip size and waist hip ratio, etc., etc. Anyway, what is Krishna's waist? What can be the waist of a toddler who's 3 years old? Anyone can make a guess, right? It can be just something which you can put it probably in your arms. It's so small, right? And yet the fascinating part of the Leela is that after kilometers of ropes being used just around, right, Krishna's waist, it is still remaining short. ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? Huh? But Krishna looks small, but he is Anor Aniyan, Mahato Mahiyan, right? He appears smaller than the smallest waist, but he has got an infinite waist. His waist is, so actually to tie him you require infinite rope, and there is no possibility in to have infinite rope. Therefore, Krishna cannot be bound. That is the conclusion. Krishna just cannot be bound. And therefore, ultimately, when Krishna sees the sweat on the forehead of Mother Yashoda, that means she's been trying from morning till practically, the whole Leela started in the morning, right? It was Diwali day. You want to remember, right? It's Diwali day, and Mother Yashoda wants to make a nice sweets for Krishna because it is Diwali day. Diwali पे तो मिठाई बनाना ही है. सबके घर पे मिठाई है. हम लोग तो now we buy from what is that? Ganguram, right? Yesterday I had Ganguram sweets. I don't know. Must be, I'm sure, a very good shop, right? So now you buy sweets, but in that time there was no buying. It was just you to make your own because it is for Krishna. So Krishna ke liye to you do your own thing. You put your own heart and labor into it. So this sweets day, so it started early in the morning, practically Pratah Kal at 5 o'clock in the morning she starts. And now tying rope after rope, it has become practically afternoon. And she is determined. Mother Yashoda is a determined mother. She's not saying, "Theek hai, chalo, koi baat nahi." She's not like that. She's determined. Today I have to tie this guy up, like that. Today is very mischievous. And therefore, when Krishna sees that his beloved mother is sweating on the forehead with exhaustion, then he relents. Then he gives up his infinite expanse nature and becomes more finite. From infinite he becomes finite, right? Krishna can do that. Krishna can do anything. Krishna has got Achintya Shakti. He can become infinite and he can become absolutely finite. Both the things are within his control because he's the supreme controller. When he becomes finite, then the last thing, she gets him tied. The second finger, of course, as we know, is that essence that is called as Krishna's Kripa. Therefore, for success in spiritual life, this will remain forever the guiding principle for success. Labor, hard labor, sincere labor, determined effort, like Mother Yashoda. With utsaha, with nischaya, and with dhairas. These three are predominant qualities we need to have. Unlimited enthusiasm, unlimited determination, and that Vishwas path, that conviction, that Nischay, that this is the right path. This is the only path, and this is our only right path. And therefore, that conviction of being, that endeavor of that willingness, the willingness to actually, Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Bhagwan Ki Jai, that willingness to put our very heart into our endeavor, and yet never forgetting that that alone will not determine success. What is required is the other finger. And therefore, we find it all in all our songs, in all our bhajans, right? This is the constant theme of the greatest souls, right? And though they're so qualified as being great devotees, great scholars, right? They have never allowed themselves to delve on their own endeavor as being the cause of success. They've always focused on the second finger. That, my dear Lord, whatever I am, whatever I can do, I can only achieve success if it is achieve your mercy. The classic example, there are many classic examples in the scripture to elucidate this principle of powerful endeavor along with Krishna Kripa. Why would a person like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur take initiation from a person who was apparently illiterate? Let us think about this more deeply, not take it on face value. Here is a person who is a living encyclopedia, the beloved Gurudev of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. He is a living encyclopedia. I mean, whatever he read, he was a prolific reader, right? He was a born genius. He was a born genius, right? He was a prodigy. As a child, he was a prodigy of a child, right? He was far beyond his age. And therefore, whatever he read was immediately fitted into his hard disk. Now, we read so many things. No? We cannot sometimes remember 5 minutes back what I was thinking. I was thinking about something. क्या बोल रहा था मैं? वो क्या था वो? What is that? What I was saying, Prabhuji? So even 5 minutes, that Alzheimer's disease, 5 minutes back, I just put my keys somewhere. Where did I put my car keys? It was in my pocket, in my bag, in the car. So such fragile, when we say Kali Yuga, we need to understand how fragile is everything. Our memory, our capacity to do things is so fragile, right? But a brilliant person like him, whatever, if he saw you, he'll know, remember your name after 15 years also. Right? Prabhuji, आपको देखा है किधर से भी देखा है. You need to remember that person's name, right? But he was like that. Such brilliant scholarship. Why did he go 17 times as a beggar? Pleading, urging, begging, appealing to a person who was apparently illiterate. Give me diksha. Give me diksha. Right? Because he knew this principle so well. Of course, his father told him to do that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur asked him to do that. That whatever my scholarship is useless, is absolutely useless if I do not gain mercy of Krishna. And there's only one way to get mercy of Krishna, when it comes in parampara of great souls. Right? And therefore, scholarship, even within our Krishna consciousness society, is something which must be very careful to deal with. Right? There are a lot of people who pursue scholarship as a means to become advanced devotees. And therefore, there is a red flag there. One of our devotees, his name is Gaurang Darshan Prabhu. So we had some questions we were asking him. So he's a scholar, and some of you know him, right? So we were wondering how is he such a great scholar, successful preacher, author of so many books and guides on Srimad Bhagavatam, the the Bhagavad Subodhini, the Gita Subodhini, the Nectar Devotion Subodhini. He wrote so many Subodhini, like guides. Like we used to have Navneet guide, when I was a 10th standard, Navneet guide. Now he wrote guides on Srimad Bhagavatam, right? To make Bhagavatam easy and understandable for people like Kali Yuga who had we have less understanding of elaborate things. So he wrote the Subodhinis. He said, suppose I just read books which are GBC books. I read books which are only GBC books. GBC means Governing Body Commission. That's a term which we all know. ISKCON, they are the managers of the entire society. So I read only GBC books. And what are the GBC books, Prabhu? Gita, Bhagavad, Chaitanya Chatamrita. I read only these books, right? For me, my sourcing of knowledge, knowledge is to have a source, right? My knowledge source is not, the what you call high-fi literatures. My knowledge source only is GBC, and I found it very interesting that here is a successful preacher, one of the most prolific preachers in our society, author of so many books, and now doing so much for the entire world, right? But his knowledge source is Srila Prabhupada's books only. And therefore, when so many books emerge in our society by various authors, we need to remember that they are reference books. But GBC books are what are they? They are the textbooks. Like all of us did our post-graduation or graduation, and we had the books, the core books, the syllabus books, and we sometimes had to do some referencing also for additional knowledge, right? So we can never lose focus from Srila Prabhupada's books because so many books will emerge, but they all are here to highlight some dimension of Srila Prabhupada's core teachings, right? But if they start replacing them with the core books, we will have what we will have? Confusion. Right? We will have confusion. So, it's a very important, beautiful thing. There's a great Vaishnava called Dashrathi. Dashrathi was a great scholar. Two principal disciples of Sripad Ramanujacharya, Dashrathi and Quresh. Right? Quresh was his first disciple, Dashrathi was his second disciple. And a brilliant scholar, born Brahman. Right? And then he goes to his Guru Maharaj who said, my dear Gurudev, now this is a very important story for us, students of Srimad Bhagavatam. Said, please explain to me the essence verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Today we're talking about essence, don't forget that. Right? The Gita has so many slokas, all are equally important, but there is still essence verse. Essence verse is what? Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshaishyami ma suchaha. Please, dear Gurudev, reveal to me what is the actual meaning of this verse. The actual meaning will not emerge by doing the word-to-word translation. Oh, sarva, all, dharman, parityajya, that is just the word-to-word meaning, right? And any scholar can, and Sanskrit can, break down like anatomy in an anatomy lab. Can break down the muscle and the liver, the kidney, and break it down to look into various. So this is not an anatomical thing that you break down the Sanskrit words into so many parts and understand what this word is actually saying. What does parityajya mean? What does sharanam mean? So it dissect the word in a Sanskrit analysis. He was saying, reveal the words and its meaning in my heart, Gurudev. I want to know the essence of meaning in my heart, not in my brain. We have a brain and we have a heart. Where does Krishna reveal himself when he's happy with you? Here or here? Not here. The Lord is Sarvasa Chaham. That Krishna is going to reveal himself. Divya Gyan. That's it. We want Krishna to reveal himself in our heart, not in our brain or our kidneys. In our heart. Right? So Dasarathi is going with this request. Please reveal the meaning of this verse in my heart, Gurudev. So Gurudev knows everything. So he said, you go to Goshti Purna. He will teach you the meaning of this verse. So he goes to Goshti Purna. Goshti Purna is one of the many Shiksha Gurus of Sripad Ramanujacharya, who is staying several kilometers away from Sri Rangam. So he goes there and begs them, and he stays there for 6 months and serves them as a Mathvasi there. And for 6 months also, he does not really get the meaning. Because Goshti Purna understands that there is something more required in his persona to understand. So he gives us some allegorical answer, but not reveal the real answer. So he comes back and said, Gurudev, I still not understood this verse. At that time, Atulai is the niece of Sripad Ramanujacharya. She comes there to his house, to his ashram, and said, Gurudev, I have a problem. So what is the problem, beta? What happened to you? You are in distress, you are crying, you are so upset, you look emotionally disturbed. What is wrong with you? And can I help you? Said, yes, I came for that. After I got married and I started staying in my in-laws' home, and then I'm supposed to do all the household chores. And one of the important thing is to fetch water for all the, every woman knows the importance of water. If there's no water in the house, there is catastrophe. Right? So she has to fetch water from 2 miles away. So she has to go 2 miles away on a walkway, on a dirt road, right, and fetch water and come back. And 2 miles is a long distance. Now we are used to using taps, right? Do you want water? Yeah, it's available. What is it? What is the process? Just move the tap in an anti-clockwise direction and you'll have water. So what is the source of water? The tap. For us that is so easy, right? But for her it was going so far and get that water, and then in the evening you need water, you go again. So I'm exhausted, I'm tired. I went to the mother-in-law, I said, I'm just cannot do this. I'm exhausted. And then all the household cooking and everything else. And so she felt that she'll be, the mother-in-law will be more sort of sympathetic with her. Beta, koi baat nahi. Something else she will say that. Hey, when you got married, you should have brought a servant with you. Huh? Where is your servant? You get a servant, you do all this work. So she was very harsh. Not getting sympathy and completely worn out in her body, she comes crying to her father. Her father says, I cannot help you. You go to the Acharya. When she's putting a complaint, next to him is standing. Who's standing there? Dashrati. He said, don't worry, I have a servant for you. The servant is there. He's a nice servant. He will accompany you to your house and he will do all the things on your behalf and you do other things. So Dashrati looks at Acharya, Acharya looks at Dashrati, they understand. There is some sign language there. He said, go. So he goes there and he starts doing all the work. And he is very young, he is very energetic, with all the work. And mother-in-law is very happy, Atula is very happy. And he's this great scholar, that great scholar is now working like a simple household maid servant. A very, very menial, humble, and almost humiliating position. Right? What they call sometimes as gharghati, they call it sometimes in some language. Something like that. And another scholar comes in that village and starts giving out a presentation on some verse. Right? And when he's speaking the verse, everyone gathers and it was like, I'm about to hear satsang is going on here, right? He comes and he gives a presentation which is mixed with Mayavad, right? And that makes Dashrati very, very restless, right? Because he knows the stuff. And the people, simple villagers, for them everything is, whatever you say is great. But here is a person who has discriminative power. This is not proper. So he said, please, I will explain this. And he gives the perfect understanding as per the Vaishnava Siddhanta. And this scholar says, hey, you just shut up, okay? You show your skill in the kitchen, right? You show your skill in the bathroom. You just go and do your work there. Get out from here. Because, he's just a maid servant, and you have no business, meddling with philosophy here. So he just publicly humiliates him and so cuts him down to a position, that you are a servant, you are a maid servant, you play your role, okay? You have no business getting into philosophical matters. This is beyond your domain. So he goes back and then he continues his dissertation, and then afterwards the Ashwati gives a perfect explanation of what was being said. And when this scholar comes to know, he becomes very humble. He said, this is not a maid servant. What he's speaking is so far out, right? He's not, he's somebody else. So they investigate, they do R&D. Who is the servant? And he's actually Dashrathi, that famous scholar. So the whole team of people go from this village to Ramanuja said, hey, why have you sent such a great scholar to this person, to this house? Please take him back in the fold of your mercy. Right? He comes back. And then when he comes back, he asked him, do you understand the verse meaning? He said, yes. It's when you simply become a menial servant. The villagers say that we saw that this person has got no pride now. He has no pride. So please extend back in your service. There's another devotee called as Kanchipurna. Kanchipurna was such a great Vaishnava. His service was to do fanning for Varadaraj, the Lord of Kanchipuram, right? Some of you may have been fortunate to do that, see this beautiful deity, famous deity of the Sri Sampradaya Devasthanam. So he is daily services fanning the Lord. At that time there were no fans and air conditioners, right? But his special role was he could speak to the deity. He could speak to the deity, right? Like we can speak to each other. And all the villagers knew this. And they would actually speak to the deity through him and ask questions to the deity through him. Said, I have this problem. How can I deal with this? So the deity would give answer to Kanchipurna, who would become the mediator and give the message to them. Said, this is what the Lord has said, right? And so meant for a long time. And all these questions are being asked. And one day he gets in his heart this thing. One devotee asks this question, my dear Lord, when will I go back to Godhead? So the Lord gave him the reply, you are such a sincere, wonderful Vaishnava. You will enter Vaikuntha at the end of this lifetime. And the devotee who heard this was overjoyed. Overjoyed. By the Lord's grace, I will be able to get liberation from cycle of birth and death and serve the Lord in Vaikuntha. And that sparked a desire in Kanchipurna's heart. What about me? Mera kya hoga? Like that, when will I get this exalted position of entering the holy abode? So he's fanning the Lord, but he's not asking. He said, Kanchipurna, the Lord is saying, you have something to ask? I said, my dear Lord, what is hidden from you? You are in my heart. But this is so what is your question? My dear Lord, if I may ask, when will I enter into Vaikuntha? You will not enter into Vaikuntha. I said, why? Only those who are humble servants of my servants can enter into Vaikuntha. You are very dear to me, but you cannot enter Vaikuntha. So there and there he leaves the fan. He leaves the fan and he goes to the house of Vaishnava and becomes a servant in their house. My dear devotees, this is a very powerful stories which the Acharya has revealed. The essence is to be the humble servant of the Vaishnavas. And therefore, in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, this is considered as the topmost level of achievement. To truly become the humble servant of the Vaishnavas. Therefore, the Dasanudas philosophy, which we say very easily, which we utter very often, hmm, and yet it has such depth of meaning, and it is such a difficult realm to reach. It is so very difficult to reach that realm of feeling yourself as nothing. That means Saropadi Minir Muktam Tat Paratvana Nirmalam. That you have to dissolve and absolve yourself of all identities of this world. Right? We all have multiple identities. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm an Indian, I'm a Hindu, I'm great, I'm a learned, I'm a doctor, I'm this, I'm that, I'm an engineer, I'm from Kharagpur, I'm IT Kharagpur, not just any IIT. I'm this, I'm that, IIT Powai, I'm from Mumbai, right? I did my this from there. So we have multiple identities like this, and I'm great, and I'm learned, and I'm rich, and I'm popular, and I'm well known, and I'm famous, this, that, whatever. We have so many identities we keep on heaping upon ourselves, correct? It keeps on adding more and more. To be able to remove all these layers, just like the universe has layers, the Bhagavatam explains fifth canto that the universe has 10 layers, right? One layer, and 10 is more the next layer. The universe is like a shell, and it's got multiple layers which cover the shell. Similarly, the Atma has got multiple layers which cover the true nature of the Atma. And bhakti is a process by which you have to, like onion, you peel the onion, right? And the last part, no, you keep on peeling, and the last part. So unless we peel off all these layers upon layers of layers which are covering our soul for thousands and thousands and millions of births, and which our soul has remained in this world of matter, right? It's called as Jada Jagata, the world of matter, right? Unless we peel off all these identities and allow only one singular identity to prevail in our consciousness. And what is that? Jivera Swarup Hoy, Krishna and Nitya Das, right? Unless we allow only that to remain at all times, as senior devotee, junior devotee, any position, any whatever role we are playing, in our homes or in our temples, unless that remains our singular, predominant identity, that I am simply a servant of Sri Krishna. I am only Krishna Das and nothing else. And I may play a role of being somebody's husband or somebody's wife or somebody's this or somebody's that or temple president or whatever it is. I may play various external roles as per my prescribed duty of this world, but my core identity will always remain Krishna Das. Easier said than done, obviously, right? So this is the essence, and only when Krishna sees this as a constant behavioral pattern, only when Krishna sees this as a constant state of consciousness, then you get that second finger. The second finger is not easily achieved. It is not easy to attract Krishna's mercy. The biggest speed breaker for achieving this is pride. Pride. The greatest enemy of the sadhaka, a student of bhakti, is pride. Why is pride such a big enemy? We usually think of enemies as some country around us who's attacking, or they are political enemies. There may be, right? There may be some business enemies who are maybe your fierce competitors. But what are the enemies of our consciousness? The biggest terrorist which affects our consciousness, the biggest infection and very deep-seated infection of our consciousness is pride. And why is pride so important and why is pride so difficult to deal with? Right? Because it is situated on the platform of ahankar. And ahankar is so difficult to dislodge because ahankar is the first layer which covers the soul when it leaves the spiritual world. The first layer, which is the most powerful layer, the most powerful covering of the soul, is ahankar. And as like the raindrop falls on the sky, which is pure H2O, it is monsoon now. So I was flying yesterday right from Mumbai, and we were above the clouds, so we didn't see rains. When I started going under the clouds, we started seeing rain, right? But that water, if you first put your hand out and take a glass, that is pure H2O, two molecules of hydrogen, one molecule of oxygen, put together by Krishna's mystical potency and made into a beautiful thing called as water, right? But as it comes down the atmosphere, it gathers a lot of things, and when it falls on the ground and starts flowing in the to the roads and then into the gutters. You say, is this gutter or this is rainwater? You cannot differentiate. It is actually that pure H2O of the clouds has now become gutter water. That's what happens to our consciousness. We were pure spirit souls, but staying in this material world, we become so wretched, so degraded, so contaminated, so corrupted in our consciousness. So the process to again unwind and make that gutter water into pure water. That is process of bhakti. And then because ahankar is there and pride is situated on ahankar, to destroy this ahankar, pride will not go. And what is pride? Pride is the biggest enemy of the singular quality which attracts Krishna's mercy. What attracts Krishna's mercy is the important question of our life. How can I attract the all attractive? He is all attractive. Krishna is all attractive. How can I attract the all attractive? Doesn't make any sense. If he's all attractive, that means he attracts anything and everything and everyone. I'm supposed to attract him. But he's all attractive. How can I attract the all attractive? You understand? It is as difficult as saying, how can a huge magnet be attracted by a small iron filing? Is it possible? A small magnet or a small iron filing. This is simple physics. We all did experiment in our maybe 8th standard, I don't know when, 8th standard, to see what is the magnetic field, right? We had a bar magnet and then you were supposed to chalk the magnetic field around it. Tick, 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 tick around it. Right? Remember this experiment? Right? So we were charting the magnetic field, right? So, and you have put some iron filings next to it. They gave us the iron powder, right? And then immediately when you put it, it attracts, right? What is the probability that that iron filing will attract the magnet? Have you ever imagined something like that can happen? But that's what is bhakti all about. A success in bhakti means the iron filing, the jivatma is like the iron powder, the iron filing. Anu is 1/10,000th tip of the hair. He is infinitely small. He is expected to attract the infinitely large person. It doesn't make any sense. And yet, it makes lots of sense. And we understand, and bhakti doesn't make a lot of sense materially in any case. Bhakti doesn't make material sense in any case because it is beyond material knowledge. Because it is a matter of deep spiritual shraddha. The only singular quality which will attract Krishna is not knowledge, is not mystic yoga, it is not Rituals, no rituals, no karma kanda will attract Krishna. If you give a large donation, will Krishna be pleased with me? I'm a big donor. I should get Krishna's mercy. I give 50 crores. Lakshmipati hai bhai. All Lakshmi belongs to him. Right? Nothing. So, is Ganga more nourished when we take Ganga's water from in our palms and get back to her? Ganga says, "Oh, thank you very much. You gave me a palm full of water." Is Ganga thinking like that? This is my water, Baba. You took it in your hands and you offered it back to me. Right? But Kolkata Sridhar could please Ganga so much just by doing that. Kolkata Sridhar was an ardent bhakta of Ganga Maiya. And the meager resources he had, please remember, he was just a banana seller, banana leaf seller. Not even, I don't know whether banana, he had bananas, but it is banana leaves, banana cups, banana trunk, right? Now, how much money can you get by selling banana leaves? And that way, he was supposed to be the cheapest vendor in the entire, whatever, mandi, the marketplace. Cheapest. Yet the most competitive price. And even when Mahaprabhu, as Nima would come there, he would even bargain even more. Itna mehanga hai. What is this going on? You are cheating the people, right? And he said, I will take it for free. And Nimai would take away the banana leaves and banana cups and not even give any. That time there was no currency, there was kaudi. No kaudis also. No kaudis. Nothing. Right? And yet from that, whatever he must have earned from that amount per day, half the money was going to worship Mother Ganga. Half. Nobody can imagine. Even if somebody is a crorepati, he will not give half his income in donation. Even a multi-billionaire will say, take half. ISKCON can take half of my income. We wish there were some billionaires in this world. So half my income goes to ISKCON. They will make a temple in overnight. But even they will not do that. But he would give half his income to Mother Ganga. Right? And the Mahaprakash Leela, when Mahaprabhu calls Sridhar, right? So go and call Sridhar. Mahaprabhu is revealing his opulences. He is not anymore a bhakta. He is not bhakta avatar. He is sitting as Bhagavan. Right? So go and call Sridhar. Sridhar. They are looking together. You know Sridhar. Nobody in the Mahaprakash Leela who was there knew who is Sridhar. So they went and said, Mahaprabhu said, you go out and from the house in which at the end of the village, you will hear loud chanting of the holy names of Krishna. That person is Sridhar. That is his CV. That is his identity mark. That is a landmark. Anybody at the end of the village in the house who is actually shouting and loudly chanting Krishna's name, that is Sridhar. So it's, we can hear some sounds coming from this house. He must be Sridhar. So they pick him up and said, the Lord is calling you. And he becomes unconscious. Lord is calling me. How can he call such an insignificant person like me? So they have to actually unconscious Sridhar. They have to hold him up and bring him in front of the Lord. And he gets up, but the Lord touches him. The whole Leela is so beautiful. We don't go into the details of this Leela. But it is so important to hear this, understand this Leela properly. Right? When the Lord offers him everything he has got. And what the Lord doesn't have? The Lord has everything. The Lord has everything. And He is willing to give anything to His devotee because He has pleased him. He has pleased him. Right? I'll give mystic powers. You want mystic powers? He's going to give 8 mystic powers. It's just a disturbance. I'll give Indra Pada. I will give you. He keeps on increasing his offer. When you go to a company, What will you offer me? What is the offer? What is the package? So Mahaprabhu increases his package. First he says, I will give this. He said, I don't want this. Next package, higher package, higher package. I will take you to Vaikuntha. Nahi chahiye. He denies even going to Vaikuntha. What is this? What is going on here? Right? You don't want to go back to Godhead? If you want to go back to Godhead, मेरे को भी. Can I at least be on the waiting list? Or on RAC also भी चलेगा. Can you take me to it? Right? What do you want, Sridhar? You ask something, you are not asking something is breaking my heart. Please ask for my pleasure, not for your pleasure now. You see the difference? First, when you ask, somebody says, you ask something which for your pleasure. I want, okay, you give me this, you give me that. But now since you're denying everything, now you ask for me, not for you. So what do you want? So you just give me 2 hours every day. And come to my shop and bargain with me the price of banana leaves. Wow. He asked 2 hours from the Lord. And a rich man, a multi-billionaire, will he give 2 hours to somebody? His time, for him, time is money. Right? And the greatest Lord of all lords has to give 2 hours of his time to a simple, humble, roadside banana seller. So the question is, why? The question is, why? What did he do to purchase the Lord's 2 hours? He purchased the Lord. Vikraneta, Atmabhyam, Gautama Tantra says that the Lord can sell himself, right? Like a commodity, he will sell himself. The only thing which can make the Lord attracted to us is the rare quality of humility. And that, my dear friends, is the essence of spiritual life. The saram which we are talking about today is that unless we can nourish and nurture in our heart this divine quality of humility, no matter what we do in spiritual life, it will not attract Krishna's attention. Right? So therefore, whatever we are doing, we do, and even more for ourselves, for the mission, for the community. We do all that. But at the same time, being so conscious, we do not allow the weeds of pride to grow along with that. This beautiful quality of humility. Because when we are proud, we cannot call out the Lord's name feelingly. If you're full in yourself, you cannot call out the Lord. You're already full of pride. Right? Unless we are emptied out, the consciousness has to be empty. Can you put anything in a full glass? You cannot. You cannot put anything in a full glass. If the glass is full, put something inside. It will overflow. I can only put something in this glass if it is emptied out. Or if it is not empty, to the extent I create space in the glass, I keep on adding something more. So as we start eliminating our anarthas, especially our envy and pride, as it starts going down in the glass of our consciousness, Krishna keeps on adding his Kripa Patra. Right? And when the glass of our consciousness is emptied out completely, then he fills our heart with his Kripa. Right? Therefore, the most important song, there are so many songs, we cannot say the most important, any song is most important. But when, I think it is Srinivas Acharya who wrote this song, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu. He wrote this song, Srinivas Acharya. No, no, sorry. No, oh, how can I forget that? Mosamapatita Prabhu Napaibe Ara Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More. This one stanza of a beautiful song is enough for us. Right? This daya, this kripa, is only going to be coming into the heart when we think that we are truly fallen. But, my dear, when the mind can argue, but I know so much. I'm born in a rich family. I'm beautiful. I'm knowledgeable. When I have so much, how can I really feel that I need? That is not your doing. It's not our doing. As for myself, I am nothing. Whatever I have, as I have gained by the Lord's grace only. As for myself, in my original state, I am nothing and I am no one. I am. But Prabhupada, sometimes when we are in Maya, sometimes you're always in Maya. Prabhupada, before the question could even end, Prabhupada caught him. Acharya is very sharp. Prabhupada is very sharp. Sometimes when in Maya, I said, sometimes you're always in Maya. Right? Somebody said to Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen. Prabhupada said, you are the most nothing. You are, just meditate on this line if you can, ever, if you get time, right? Think on, you are the most nothing. Not that the most beautiful. We think we are the most, something we attest, I am most, something most. Other most beautiful or most good, or I am most humble, maybe you think. Or the most service-oriented, or the most brilliant in this field, or in the most, he may make me feel I'm the most beautiful, most wonderful actor. He may make me feel like that by his introduction. I'm most something. Prabhupada said, you are the most nothing. You are simply insignificant. You are the most nothing. Right? How when the Acharya, gives his understanding, how in one line he can demolish our ahankar. Completely devastate, like how when a huge missile falls, you see the missiles, this war is going on now, Iran and all this stuff is going on, Israel and everything else, and then the Gaza war was there, and you see on these videos sometimes, we don't spend a lot of time on that, but sometimes you just want to see what's happening. A huge missile just comes and whack, and a huge skyscraper building just falls like a pack of cards, demolished. Huge skyscraper just demolished in just one missile, fat, finished. The Acharya is like that. He just gives you one line, fat, you are the most nothing, finished. Right? Your whole edifice of ahankar is destroyed, practically. Right? You are simply insignificant. Right? So, if you can do great things with that first finger, because the first finger is about Yashoda Mai's endeavor, because I'm insignificant, let me do nothing. I'm insignificant, Baba. I want to do nothing. Right? No. The first finger is still applicable to us, right? The first finger means you do everything. What the Guru wants you to do, what your seniors want you to do, what your authority wants you to do, right? What Krishna wants you to do, you do everything. But you remain, second finger says, you are insignificant. Right? If we can catch that essence of spiritual life, this is the essence. Do more than what you can even imagine. Because Krishna can empower you to do the impossible. You think you can do only so much. But Krishna can make you do, if Krishna wants to do more, he can empower you to do more. Right? The ant can carry more weight than his own body's weight. That is power. Now you try and lift more than 70 kilos and see, 80 kilos. No. I had a patient of mine who was, I meant him to do physiotherapy, and she had some problem in the hand. So she was supposed to hold a dumbbell of 1 kilo. And she held a dumbbell of 1 kilo and her muscle tore. Muscle tear after holding a dumbbell of 1 kilo. I said, how? I was thinking, my God, how fragile is our body? Her body was especially more fragile than I ever thought. Because I never thought she would have a torn muscle at 1 kilo, right? But that's how our bodies are, fragile. But the ant can carry more weight than its own body. Science can tell us that, right? So Krishna can empower you to do more than you can ever imagine, right? When we come to Krishna consciousness, did we ever think we could do these things? Did Srintai Prabhu ever imagine he could do so much for the world, right? He thought he's just becoming a nice engineer and get a nice job and maybe a good wife. But no, Krishna empowered him to do something amazing. As Jataran Prabhu is an engineer. Many of you are just qualified people in this room, right? You never thought you do whatever you are doing, all of you are doing today. You are doing wonderful things for the world and for the mission of ISKCON, for Prabhupada's pleasure. You never thought you would do these things, but Krishna is making you do these things. He's empowering you more than you ever could imagine. That is Krishna Shakti, right? All of us are doing more than what we could ever imagine. But that is Krishna's side. What is our side then? Krishna willing to empower you to unlimitedly take. You are serving Krishna. You want to serve it, take. What is our side? Our side only one thing. Let not pride destroy all this. The weed of pride can choke up our spiritual advancement. Let me remain still a humble servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, the Guru, the Vaishnavas. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So, if anybody has any questions or something to ask, they can raise hands. Okay? Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class. Toward the end, Prabhuji was speaking about Mosama Patita Prabhu Na Pai Bayar. So, in the stanza which, as you mentioned, it's so important for us to meditate upon. Sometimes it's difficult for me to understand when the Acharya speak like this. For example, even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kaviraj Goswami says, Jagaye madhai hoite moi se papishta, purushere kit hoite moi se lagishta. I am lower than the worm in the stool. If anyone takes my name, he loses all the piety. And if anyone hears my name, he becomes sinful. So when we hear such kind of utterances from the Acharya, it's difficult for us to understand. I mean, if you hear the word Krishna Das Kaviraj, how can one become sinful? And how can one become, it's become very, very difficult for us to understand. Yet we understand that Acharya, they maintain this mood and they feel. One thing is to understand it, one thing is to feel. And yet they are doing, and yet they are so exalted in their service to Krishna. Could you please explain that, Prabhupada?
Your answer is justified. Your question is justified. We cannot understand this. You're right. With our material brains, we cannot understand how the Acharya thinks and feels and writes like this. It is anti-material. For us, this understanding is right now in a state of being just theoretical. Right? Most of us may not have the sakshatkar of the type of mood presented by Kaviraj Goswami, what you are talking about. But let us try to understand to the best of our capacity, where does this mood come from? There are only two things in this world. The the Paramatma and the Jivatma, the Lord and the Spirit soul, and the spirit, and the Aparashakti. Parashakti there. And superior energy as the Lord and the Spirit soul. As we progress in Krishna consciousness, as we go on to the path of purification, more and more the Lord's true glory is revealed. And as more and more of the Lord's glory, Rupa, Guna, Nam, Dham, as more and more the Lord's glory is revealed in the heart, Krishna becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger within the frame of our consciousness. Simultaneously to that particular phenomena, and parallel to the phenomena, as he becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, we start becoming more and more smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And why is that? Because Krishna is unlimitedly big and we are actually unlimitedly small. Correct? We are small. We are insignificantly small. 10,000 tip of the hair. The ahankar makes us feel bigger than what we are. We all feel a sense of being very important. We all attach ourselves to this particular thing that I am important. Every husband feels I'm important for my family. Everybody may feel he is playing some important role somewhere. I'm important. I am not unimportant. I'm important. Right? So, when Haridas Thakur is in the Mahaprakash Leela, he prays for this too. When Mahaprabhu says, you ask for benediction, he prays for this, that, my dear Lord, wherever I go, wherever I am, I always feel a sense of importance for myself. Please bless me that I understand that I'm insignificant. And then he says, my dear Lord, I want to beg of you if you can, to get the remnants of the food of the Vaishnavas, right? Mahaprakash Leela. And then he says, how can I ask this? This is, I'm so insignificant. Can I even ask something so exalted to get the Uchishta of the Vaishnavas? It is pride to even think that I am eligible to get that. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the way Haridhar was thinking. So to attach the tag of self-importance is the manifestation of ahankar. But when we realize that not I, but Krishna is all important. Right? So as we become more and more purified, Krishna becomes more and more revealed in our heart, in the horizon of our consciousness. And then we start understanding how insignificant I am. And then that actually is expressed through song or poetry in this way, as you are saying. Right? Because we have not truly grasped or understood within our heart the true glory of the unlimited nature of Krishna's greatness. We know Krishna is great, but Prabhupada said that is not enough. How great is Krishna? Right? The whole Srimad Bhagavatam is about revealing how great is Krishna. He appears by a small boy like Vamandev, 5 feet, 5-year-old person, but how great he is. He can expand to cover the entire universe. Now, no demon can ever do that. Demons can expand their bodies. No? But can anybody expand the bodies to cover the entire universe? Universe. Not earth, not the sky. Universe. That's how great Krishna is, right? That's why Krishna revealed that Leela to us, to show how great he is. So unless we digest those first few cantos of understanding Krishna's true greatness, we won't be, and maybe start thinking about Krishna only as a coward boy doing mischief in the house of Mother Yashoda and the gopis. When we prematurely try to understand that, then the true glory of Krishna is not revealed in our heart. But we gradually evolve from first canto and understand glory as it is revealed to the Pandavas, Kapila Dev, to Dhruv Maharaj. It goes higher, 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 higher. Then we are prepared to understand Krishna's glory and his Leela as being Rasaraj Krishna. So therefore, when we study Prabhupada's books and the gradual evolution of the subject matter of the curriculum of Bhagavatam, the way it is presented to us maturely by Shukdev Goswami, then actually we will understand Krishna's glory. And when we understand Krishna's glory, we may come closer to what you are saying right now, the mood of Kaviraj Goswami, because he understands Krishna's glory to the fullest. Because nobody understands Krishna's glory to the fullest, but Prabhupada said to whatever extent. But he understands Krishna's glory is to such a great extent. He understands Mahaprabhu's glory to such an extent. Therefore, he thinks he is insignificant. I hope that helps to some way. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for very, very insightful discussion. You are mentioning how for sadhaka the greatest enemy is the pride, and how we should actually cultivate humility. So I wanted to ask a question that pride is our greatest problem, but I see in my life that whenever a situation comes which makes me humble, or when some other association makes me feel humble or deals in such a way I'm humbled, or something I'm not able to do, I'm trying my best. So when that happens, then it creates more agitation. Say I'm managing and someone does not follow that. So whatever situation breaks the pride makes a lot of agitation in the heart, and we try to fix the situation or fix the things and become very affected. So how do we really, because I understand, as you mentioned, that this is the greatest enemy, but when that enemy is attacked by someone, instead of feeling happy, I feel I should sabotage the other person. So it's like my strength, instead of working on this quality, if someone is helping me work on this quality, it doesn't help, but rather I become more
Revengeful.
So how do we actually work on this aspect?
There's a difference between being humbled and being humble. What's happening to you is nothing to do with humility. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Right? You're just being humbled because of your apparent incapacity to do something or whatever, or you are doing something wrong, or so you are humbled, which actually is something closer to being humiliated. Your ego perceives or interprets that experience. I'm humiliated. I thought I was a great guy. I thought everything they think that I'm going to be a great guy, but look at this. I messed it up. Right? So actually we are humiliated. Humiliation does not lead to humility. Humiliation does not lead to humility. Humility can only come through the example of the Ashtati we saw, example of Kanchipurna we saw. Srila Prabhupada, sitting on the Vyasasana, was giving a lecture, right? And one of his disciples, her name is Govinda Dasi. So this is in Jaipur or Gorakhpur, one of the two, I'm not sure. So she is, her seva was to actually clean the floor. In our language, pocha marna. Kaushalya Mataji. She was, her service was to clean the temple. So because she has, her time is being used, she's hearing and then she's cleaning also. So Prabhupada is watching that. And then Prabhupada looks at her and said, Kaushalya Devi, every time you are cleaning the temple, you do it so well. But today the way you are doing it is like just a crow is just flapping his wings. So Prabhupada the founder Acharya of ISKCON, the predominant moiety of the one who created the worldwide movement, gets down from Vyasa, who goes on his knees and said, get me the pocha, get me the bucket, right? One clean bucket and one unclean bucket, right? And he puts the cloth in the bucket and he starts wiping the floor, and then rinsing it and putting it in the clean one, again cleaning up, and the unclean one. Who's doing this? Prabhupada, right? For him, whether he was sitting on the Vyasa and giving a powerful lecture on the Siddhanta of Vaishnavism, or whether he was just cleaning the temple room, it was still both the same for him, right? So this is called as humility, where any service, especially therefore devotees, therefore Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, he came to our temple, Gopinath temple, Chapati, one time and said that, so there are a lot of brahmacharis doing a lot of services. So it said, in ISKCON, in ISKCON, in the old days, what we used to do, every new bhakta was supposed to clean the toilets first. So, somebody may be like a big guy, right? A big rich man's son or whoever he is, however qualified, beautiful, powerful, muscular, whatever he is, right? But first service is what? So what does that do to us? It starts acting on our false ego that here I am. When Jagat Tarini Mataji, that famous Bollywood actor, was there and she joined temple in Australia. You know the story, you might have heard the story right before, right? So when she joins, she's a flamboyant, screen person. She's acting the way all actresses that act in Hollywood. And she's so famous, everyone wants to act with her, etc., etc., right? But then the media catches her, takes a photograph where she's sitting in the temple, maybe the Melbourne temple, maybe one or Sydney temple, one of the temples of Australia, and she's wearing a sari, not one of those flashy dresses which actresses wear, wearing a sari, the head covered, a bindi, kanthi, tilak. And what she's doing there? She's washing the vessels. She's washing the vessels. So in ISKCON old days, now things may be a little different. I don't know how it goes in the temple ashrams. But in the good old days, every person, no matter what background they came from, they are supposed to perform menial service. Why? Serves various purposes. First is it gets work done. Someone has to do that work. So it gets the work done, gets the seva done. Right? Second of all, you are cut to size. So here you are not, in front of Krishna's eyes, you are not big. In front of Krishna's eyes, we all. And that also, the third point is that no seva in the temple is big or small. Right? Therefore, we've heard the example of being said that how the richest people in the world from America and Canada and New Zealand and wherever else, the Sikh brothers, they come to Golden Temple and they stand at the shoe stall. Right? And when you give the shoe stall to the Golden Temple, you go inside, after an hour you come back after doing the yatra and tour of the temple and offering your parades, etc. You find that your chappals and shoes are shining because they have been clean. So they'll receive your chappal with a lot of reverence. You go inside, then you come back, it's clean. And who's doing this? Not people who are paid servants, what, just getting a couple of thousand rupees per month. Is the guy who have maybe 10 BMWs in their garages. They're doing that. Right? So all religions is not just specific to our religion. Our religion means Vaishnavism, Gaudiya Vaishnavism. In all religions of the world, humility has always been projected as the predominant quality. It means, and that often is cultivated by doing menial service. Right? So in our temples, you find many of our devotees, young devotees, engineers, doctors, lawyers, whatever they are. In the morning, they will get up and clean the temple. Mandira Marjanadishu. Right? So this is a means to actually develop this sort of humility. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. So please tell me when I have to stop. It's already 9:45. Maybe last question is okay, or last question? Okay. Then we can talk personally. Take care.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. So, you were telling that Prabhupada said to one devotee that you are the most nothing, you are insignificant. So, at that time, this question came to my mind that as living entities, I've heard that we crave appreciation and we want to do some things that our seniors will appreciate or our colleagues will appreciate. But this seek, or we are also told that every day we should appreciate our spouse or our near devotees like that. But this quality and like this feeling of wanting appreciation seems conflicting with humility. That I want to be appreciated or praised, glorified. So, how to understand this?
In our conditioned state, that is not abnormal. In a pure state, you will no longer hanker for appreciation. But in our conditioned state, we will hanker for it, and that's normal. How do we deal with that? When one is appreciated, and they will, as you said rightly, devotee will be, Prabhu ji, क्या मृदंग बजाया है, कीर्तन मजा आ गया कीर्तन में, राइट, क्या प्रसाद बनाया है, तोड़ फोड़, डबल खाया मैंने आज प्रसाद. So devotees appreciate your prasadam, they will appreciate your kirtan, they will appreciate your dressing, the deities, they will appreciate, right? How do we see that? All that we do in Krishna consciousness is an act of descending grace. Descending grace. Because grace of the Lord has descended upon us. That grace is giving us the capacity, the ability, and the mood and attitude to do something in devotional service. There is no qualification which we have to render devotional service. Though we are all servants, Prabhupada says, right? The nature of the soul is to always serve. But there's nothing in the world which makes us eligible to do devotional service. That devotional service has come upon us by the act of grace of the Vaishnavas, the Lord. Because it has come by that grace, when the appreciation comes, it goes where? Go to that source which gave us that grace. Right? It came from the source of grace is where the grace, the appreciation also belongs. It does not belong to us. And then should be our reaction? What is our emotional reaction to this appreciation? Only one, and that is gratitude. Devotional service is never our adhikar. You can demand devotional service, never an adhikar, and never a right. You have rights, right? Citizens have rights, people have rights, patients have rights. There are rights. But bhakti is not our right. It's grace. So when we get that grace, how do we respond as sadhakas? We respond with gratitude for those people who gave us that grace. Right? And that way, when gratitude is there, it will prevent us from becoming addicted to that appreciation. It will not stick to us. It will pass on to where it came from. So Prabhupada got so much appreciation. Or talk of making a nice, dressing the deity nicely or having a nice prasad. That's some devotional service. But what to talk about somebody who did what Prabhupada did, right? And we know what Prabhupada had done. And obviously, how much appreciation he must have got. How is it that he remained untouched? Example is very powerful in front of us. Where did Prabhupada pass on the appreciation to? To his spiritual master. So much to learn from Prabhupada. What you're talking, it belongs to our spiritual master, right? So therefore, he gave to spiritual master. Therefore, he remained completely prideless, having done something which nobody in the history of mankind has done or even attempted to do. For doing it, nobody even attempted to do what Prabhupada did. Hmm? And the attempt is glorious. But he not only attempted, but he actually was successful in doing it. And yet, not a lesh matra pride touched his heart. He remained just the humble, simple. I am staying in this huge, nice suite in Los Angeles, 5-star. Prabhupada is saying, but I'm hankering to go back to my broken down, run down house of Radha Damodar Mandir in Seva Kunj. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Gaurnitai ki, Gaur Premanandi Ribo. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.